Okay, so what you want to do is right click and duplicate your layer. You can also click one of these and it'll, there used to be a button to duplicate it, but I cannot remember the shortcut for it either. But anyways, with your little move tool selected, you make sure that you're clicking on the duplicate of the layer. Go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter. And it's going to open up another window that is essentially what you get on the Develop tab of Lightroom. So once you're in this Camera Raw, to make it less confusing, I won't make it my full screen, apparently. Okay. So, once you're in here, on the right side of the menu, full screen, there we go. You are going to want to click on this mask tool. When you click on this mask tool, come down to range, select color range, and it's going to give you a new menu. Now, when you're over the image, it should turn to a little eyedropper. You're going to just drag a square over the colors that you want to eliminate. So right now it's selecting what will be influenced, or what it's making a mask to apply the changes you make on the sliders based on that color. You can come over here to refine and shrink this down so it's more specific. As you can see now, it's only grabbing a little bit of the brown where it matches the head, but we really want the whole inside of this. So I don't really want the metal, but I do want the foam. Don't worry about it being everywhere else right now, because once you've got the color correct, we're gonna fix the rest of it. So now that is selecting the right amount of color, you're going to come down here and you're going to go to saturation. If you don't want it to highlight the stuff in green to show you what's changing, you can uncheck this. I'm going to leave it unchecked for the moment. Now when I adjust the slider bar to saturation, you can just take away that brown tint. Now sometimes, as you can see, if you go too dark or too little saturation, it looks funky. So we don't want to eliminate all color from it, but we just want to make it less brown. The other thing you can do is come over to the temperature and cool it a little bit so it's not as warm. And that'll make it a little lighter. So now that we've got the color where we want it, you turn the overlay back on and then come up to where it has your mask and then click subtract. And there's a couple things you can do. You can do select background, which occasionally it'll get it right, but that's using AI to decide what is the focus and what is the background. So as you can see, it took away that whole back side. And then you could even come back and subtract the subject, and it should be smart enough to figure out that the subject, oh, see, it took the whole entire, this is the problem with AI, it took the whole basket. So we don't want that, we'll delete it. So what I'll do instead is I'll go to subtract and I'll choose a brush. So it gives me something like that. I can come in and paint over where I don't want those changes to apply. Pretty much nothing on the kid. And some of this might be a little bit of reflection. And then like if you decide that you want to include stuff, like it didn't select it perfectly when the way that you chose the color, you can come in here and paint it on like this. If you mess up, you can erase what you painted on. Anyways, so now if you take the show overlay off, you have a very nice foamy white bath. Now, I think it looks a little unnatural because of the warmth that is in the color. If you mouse over it, you see it's only applying the changes to that area. There's nothing else. But because this no longer matches the rest of the picture, we probably just want to add a little bit of color back to it. See, if you put the saturation all the way up, you can see that it's really blue. So in this case, I think it is because I changed the temperature here. I think that looks decently like milk. If I make this, feather this some more, make it smaller. There's still some residual brown there. That actually looks so much better. I might have just painted on the kids some. Whoops. There. So, once you're done with that, if you go back to the sliders, you'll see it looks like that. Now, you can do this in Photoshop. If you were doing it in Lightroom, it would be almost the identical step, except you can copy your masks and apply them to all of the pictures. So Lightroom can be really useful for that. I still feel like I made it a little too white, but you can play with it. It's pretty neat.